Hello and welcome. I'm Jade of Jaded Reader, and today I'm just doing a book tag because it sounded really fun, and I literally just watched this book tag. I wasn't tagged in this book tag. I thought it would be fun, and I really love tags, and I hadn't done one in a while. I'm going to be doing this book tag. Or I guess I did. I actually did a book tag really recently. I did the mid-year freakout tag, but I didn't think of it as a tag, even though it's definitely a tag. So I guess I do tags pretty often, and I'm doing one again. This is already a mess. I can already see exactly what energy this is going to bring out. I am not happy, but I'm doing it anyway. Doing the coffee book tag. I was not tagged, but just watched the video made by Break Even Books. I will have him linked down below. So I'm going to be doing this tag. I have already had coffee, but I guess I'll have more. And the only coffee I had on hand, because I finished my coffee this morning, was Coffee Boss. This is a Japanese brand, and I picked it up from my local Asian market down the street. This was my favorite thing to drink in Japan. Actually, in my most recent video, I have me buying it, so that's a cool coincidence. You can check that video out, and it was a shameless plug. The only one that they sold was the black coffee, so I'll be drinking black coffee, ice cold black coffee, out of this beautiful Moon Phases mug. So let's get into the questions because it just seemed really fun, really simple, and I don't know. I really like Break Even Books' channel. He always seems like he's having a very chill, good time and just doing what he wants, and it inspired me to do what I wanted because I wasn't doing anything. I'm also going to take a drink of this black coffee every single question so it doesn't go to waste, because I can tell you for sure that the black coffee not mixed with cream is just gonna be nasty. First, black. Name a series that's hard to get into but has hardcore fans. I can say for certain anything by Sarah J. Maas seems to have a really hardcore fan base. She is a staple in this community. I had a lot of trouble getting into her books. I'll go with the Throne of Glass series. It was especially hard for me to get into that one. I haven't tried her other series, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses. The whole series with this cover. I haven't tried that one yet, but Throne of Glass was one where I enjoyed it okay. I tried to read the second one and I just couldn't get into it. It's really difficult for me, but I did get into her most recent book or series, which was A House of Earth and Blood, the Crescent City book. It was really, really good and easily consumed. She's no longer as hard for me to get into, but her other series definitely a lot more difficult for me. Let's continue. Let's continue. Peppermint Mocha. Something I wish I was drinking right now. Name a book that gets more popular during the winter season. Oh, okay. The one I saw a lot, everyone was talking about it during the winter. I haven't seen many people talk about it now, but I'm really excited to read. Oh, it was easy to grab too. Is Beartown. This is by Frederick Bachman, and it was actually gifted to me by Madison at Princess of Paperback. I read the first like 40 pages or so because I was so excited to read it, despite it being 96 degrees where I am. That's Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is Celsius. Maybe in the 30s? The high 30s, perchance? Beartown takes place in, I think, Washington. Is it Canada? Is it Washington? A small town in the forest. Great. Thank you. Beartown takes place in a very cold, wintry forest village type town that is slowly decaying and dying. Not the people in the town, but the town itself, because more people are moving out of it, and their main sport there is hockey. From what I could tell, it felt very reminiscent of where I grew up, which was in Juneau, Alaska. And right away, you know in this small town that someone has died, more specifically has been murdered, and it has something to do with hockey and this sport and everyone's passion for it. I don't know exactly where this story is going to go. I know that it has broken lots of hearts, and it'll most likely break mine. I think that I'll most likely read this in the fall, but I'm expecting it to get popular once again in the winter because last winter I could not stop hearing about this book, and the cover is very wintry. Take another sip of this, which I am a little less excited about the second time around. Yeah, The third question is hot chocolate. Name your favorite children's book. Okay, my favorite books growing up were Junie B. Jones. I felt such a kindred spirit when I was reading Junie B. Jones that I was pretty sure we were the same person. I still have the entire introduction to Junie B. Jones like cemented in my head, but as far as books that I'm reading now, I can say as far as my most recent favorite, it would still be the Nevermore series, which includes Nevermore, Wondersmith, and Hollowpox, which is coming out October 27th. This is a middle grade series that follows Morrigan Crow and her adventures and challenges in the world of Nevermore. Essentially, she grows up in a dismal, horrible world and she is slated to die on her 11th birthday. However, when the clock strikes 12, things do not go as planned and she's whisked off to a place called Nevermore by the wonderful, fantastical Jupiter North, and things get rolling from there. These are the most feel-good books I can possibly think of. They're definitely my go-to. They're perfect for young adult and middle grade readers, as well as older readers myself. Always a good standby, will always be my answer. You can always just skip a question having to do with middle grade, because it'll most likely be Nevermore. Okay. Double shot of espresso. Name a book that kept you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. Oh, there are so many. I think I'm gonna go with one I haven't talked about in a while, but I really love, like it's one of my favorites, and that is Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. This book really did keep me on the edge of my seat the entire time. I did not know what was going to happen. There were creepy parts, there were intense parts, there was a lot of really good character development. I never trusted a character fully, and I never knew what was going to happen next. The writing style was really appealing to me, and there were a lot of really good discussions in it. So this follows 3 girls that are on an island called Sawkill Rock. There are girls every few years who die and disappear. It's been completely normalized and no one can seem to solve the case. This was in my demons recommendation video, so that gives you an idea of where the story goes. This is definitely a creepy book with some content warnings having to do with gore, death of family members. There is a demonic presence and you get the idea. It's creepy and it's one of my favorites for sure. Why did I do this to myself? I just want to have coffee. It seemed so cozy and I've turned it into a horrific challenge. What is the next question? Starbucks. Name a book that you see everywhere. Ooh, that I have and seen everywhere. Most recently, because a lot of people were reading it all at once, I have seen a lot of copies of Poppy War on people's shelves, which I'm really excited about because this was a very intense but very good book. I do have a list of trigger warnings that I will go across the bottom here. I also talk about it in a couple of my other videos, so I'll link one up above for you to watch and enjoy and get a better idea of my thoughts on Poppy War. But I have seen it on everyone's shelves. It's incredibly intense but incredibly good. So I think it's very valid in its presence here on BookTube, and I am looking forward to continuing the series now that I've taken a break and let my feelings on the matter simmer down. The Hipster Coffee Shop. Name a book by an indie author and give it a shout out. Okay, no problem, because I'm actually going to be reading this as soon as I'm done with my Draconathon TBR, and that is The Unveiled by MC Ray. I was given this by MC Ray himself, and I'm really excited to read it. This follows a character who is a sprite named Ayla. She lives in the upper ring of a kingdom that has been veiled in magic that people can't see in or can't see out, and during an unveiling, a lot of things come to light about the social stratifications and how this kingdom actually functions. I don't know much more. I'm really excited for it. The cover is really awesome, and there is a sequel that's coming out, so I'm actually reading it in anticipation for the sequel. This is one I'm really excited for, and I'll leave some links down below so you can buy the book yourself and give it a try, because we should always be supporting indie authors, and I feel like I don't do that enough, so I'm really happy that I could bring this one up and give it some attention. Ooh. The next prompt is, oops, I accidentally got decaf. Name a book you were expecting more from. I am actually going to be going with Middle Game by Shauna Maguire. This is one that I gave a 4 stars, so this is by no means a bad book. I had high expectations for a 5-star, and I was incredibly pressured to read this book. Not by several parties, but by one party in particular, who knew my triggers and my background pretty intensely well, and still made a point of buying me this book, making sure that I read it, bringing it up quite frequently that I hadn't read it yet, and when I picked it up, I was disturbed to find that it had pretty much my trigger down to a T, which has to do with suicide and the reactions of a close, connected friend or family member. Yeah, it was really disturbing for me. It definitely tainted my thoughts on the book. That aside, because that is by no means the author or the book's fault that I have that trigger. However, when I really sat down and thought about how I felt about this book, it didn't live up to the high expectations that I had for it. I was expecting something beyond this world, beyond my comprehension of what a good book was, and that's not what I received, which is not, again, the book's fault. It was the expectation placed upon it. So, like many overhyped books, it grew beyond its ability to be. I think that sometimes we just hype something up in our heads, and then when it doesn't match up, it doesn't match up. And this was definitely a book for me that didn't match up to the expectations that were placed upon it. So, while it was still a 4-star read, it definitely by no means was a 5. I am so glad that is a small can that I am almost done with. By the way, I very much so like that coffee. It's just, I never have it plain. And my favorite flavor is a vanilla blend that I just can't get here, so that is why I'm having such a negative reaction to this coffee. It's actually one of my favorite coffee brands. I didn't do anything with it. It's my own fault. It's not Coffee Boss's fault that my reactions are terrible. The last bookish question, but the second to last question total, name a book or series that is both bitter and sweet, but ultimately satisfying. Okay, so gonna go with my most recent favorite because I haven't talked about it enough. I know it's all I've been talking about, but it's not enough. It'll never be enough. And that is Evan Winter's Rage of Dragons. This is so good. This is my favorite book. I am in love with it. Yes, it absolutely was satisfying all the way through. Like many revenge stories, you have a morally gray satisfaction in getting exactly what you want. This book was satisfying, but ultimately so bittersweet. There are moments in this book that tore me to pieces, and there is so much look at like what is truly important in life, nuance with the characters. This is a flawed character who is seeking revenge, and ultimately lets rage overtake him. You have a main character, Tao, who has gone through an incredible loss. There is a social stratification and systemic oppression that is happening within his world. His kingdom is forever at war with another kingdom that they have tried to colonize. They are the ones that have come to this land from another land. They have tried to take it over, and they are finding that the fight is not going to end easily. There are a lot of moments that have huge payoff after a slow build-up, and the ending of this book really tore me to pieces. The last 20 pages, I thought I was going to implode. Please pick up The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, unless one of these content warnings applies to you and you don't think you can handle it. In which case, don't worry, because you can just pick up Wondersmith and Nevermore instead by Jessica Townsend. But as far as satisfying bittersweet moments go, this definitely wins that prompt. And my final question here is, do you have a go-to coffee order? Believe it or not, it's not Black Boss Coffee. If I am drinking Boss Coffee, it is going to be the vanilla blend. That was my go-to coffee in Japan. It's the one I am looking forward to getting every morning on my way to work. But here in the States, I do just usually drink house coffee at home. I have just black drip coffee, and I put Cold Stone Creamery vanilla ice cream creamer inside of that black coffee, and it turns into just a marvelous sweet disaster. So yeah, I'm by no way a coffee connoisseur, which is really just, it's terrible because I live in Portland, and one of our most known attributes is that we make amazing coffee. I will put some links down below to some good coffee places here in Portland, but it's mostly just to try out their new coffees. If I have a go-to coffee, it's gonna be my house coffee. So that is it. That is the coffee book tag. This was really fun. I don't know if it was fun for you, but it was fun for me. Oh, tagging people. Not only is it a tag, but I wasn't tagged, so I can start a new trend of coffee-related tag videos. But I'm going to tag some people that I recently watched on BookTube, so I'll just do it that way. So I'm going to my history list. I am going to tag Kay from I Love Books Okay. Kay, you are tagged. I'm also going to tag Booked and Busy. Booked and Busy is truly busy. Erin has so many things going on, but Erin, if you have a free moment and you want to drink some coffee and talk about some of your favorite books, I'm always here for your videos. Booked and Busy, you are tagged. Lexi Cozy at Alexandra Roslin, and you are also tagged if you have not already done this video. I feel like this is just the cozy kind of book tag for you. You might have already done it, so if you haven't, you are tagged. And then I'm also going to tag Cat Reads a Lot. Cat Reads a Lot is a channel I've been really enjoying lately. She went to a Disney university and has some really cool experiences on that. She also just reached 1K. Also, you are tagged. And yeah, okay, so that's where I'm gonna end off there. Even if I didn't tag you, you can still do this video, and if you want to toss out that Jaded Reader tagged you, I'll totally be your alibi. Yes, I've tagged you. So anyone else who wants to do this tag, you are tagged. If I can find the original creator, I will link them down below. I had not done my research before starting this because I literally watched Break Even Books video and was like, yeah, that seems fun, and here I am. I hope you're enjoying the sun or more stars wherever you are, and until next time, bye! Okay. What is even the name of this tag? I'm struggling.
Well, I'm finished with this book.
Ooh, you finished it?
Yep.
Is that what it's called?
A Clash of Kings.
Clash of Kings. I just realized I should probably have coffee while I do the coffee book tag. Did I even mention it was the coffee book tag? It doesn't say Soleil. Soleil! I'm filming. I'll call you right back.
Just give me 1 minute.
I'm at the fine, go.
I dropped off my keys. I wanted to grab a quick snack. What better snack but a pretzel? Because they're usually right at the front entrance, but they closed it all off through the entire mall. Get here, and it was really stressful. So I wanted to call you.
I'm so sorry you had a stressful pretzel experience. Dare I bring up Priory again? Oh, no, I unhauled it. I don't have Priory. There are definitely some content warnings for gore. What's there besides gore? I'm just gonna read this slowly to myself and then confidently read it as if it's my first time reading it. The author lives in Sweden. Where does this book take place? Does it matter? It doesn't matter. Sorry, I just ran after my cat.